Allow me to fill this somewhat awkward silence as we make our way to our destination. You've been rather quiet since your arrival, which I don't blame you for. Anyone entering this stronghold for the first time would be flabbergasted at the sight that beholds them. What? Just because we're an ancient order doesn't mean we're restricted to our vocabulary. We're human after all. Why don't you see people now talking like it's the medieval era? Anyways, before we arrive, I thought I'd take this time to tell you a small portion of our history. Most didn't normally express interest in it, with suspicious exceptions being your old governments, always wanting to know what we're hiding, and we keep it hidden from people like those for a reason. Even if it meant going to, quote-unquote, war with them, this type of knowledge was never meant for the general public to bear witness to. But you followed us for many years, keeping yourself strong against the Horde. So it's only fair that your actions be paid off with our trust. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? The history of our universe is a complex enigma. Many years of professional scientific research, independent hypotheses, and religious beliefs has made what brought our plane of existence to being a seemingly endless page filled with more questions than answers. Was there an entity that conceptualized our reality? Did it happen naturally? Where did it all start? Though we hold the truth, even we cannot answer these so simply. There is much about our universe's origin point that even we don't fully understand. But through it is what brought all of those beliefs to life. In the earliest days of humanity, when words meant nothing and actions meant everything, they told their stories through art. No one knew what brought such simple figments of creativity to life. But it's what made us continue to evolve and expand our capabilities for knowledge and broader understanding of being. But the origin of this phenomena went so much deeper that it was hidden away from being presented to others, not by higher authorities, but by what would eventually become the Scarlet Combine. We've held this peace for thousands of years, for it holds much more than the importance of our foundation. But the very key that brought every other faith to life. This is the first belief. When the light shined upon this man, a feeling of indulgence washed upon him, a presence he or anyone else for that matter had never seen before. Somehow, some way, he needed to tell his brothers and sisters about its existence. The only way he felt he could was by recreating it. With every discovery made, more was added to this mural, sparking a sense of wonder in those that witnessed it as they went out to create their own. But when other tribes bore witness to this discovery, they saw it not as a blessing, but a curse that would bring about the very destruction to their home. The creators protected the piece with all their might, scaring the tribe away as they vowed to protect it and the light that shone upon their path. In the many years that would follow, more people saw the light just as clearly as those that came before. With their minds evolving, they would spread their word to small civilizations far and wide. Some believed their story, others denied the possibility, and most wanted nothing more than to shatter that belief. Ancient Egypt. A young boy was finishing his family's tasks for the night when something caught his eye in the distance. As he approached, the light between worlds that shone upon many others made its presence to him. His eyes sparkled with wonder as two figures were beckoned by his appearance. In his language, they spoke of his true purity, tasking him with a heavy burden. The world was in grave danger, and he needed to spread his belief to others in the hopes they would be able to protect it and the light between worlds. This brought fear in the child, but they stressed he was not alone and had a choice in this. For such a heavy weight shouldn't be forced onto anyone, especially someone so young. Before the window of opportunity closed, the two figures gifted to him a beautiful scarlet flower, one as pure as his own heart, and would remain alive as long as he did. The gateway closed as he ran back home with the plant tightly gripped in his hand. He would look to it with every year that passed, still just as beautiful as it was when he first held it. As he grew, he began to realize the purpose behind this gift and his connection to it. The flower was a representation of the world beyond the light, and that if he, representing his home, were to fall, then the flower would die as well. He did not want to lose anyone, especially those from this faraway realm. Feeling the strength and courage to protect those he loved, he traveled the entire region to spread the word of his belief. Over time, more people would stand by his side, loyal to a cause they knew little to nothing of, but believed in nonetheless. However, it wasn't long before their acts were noticed by their rulers. They were sentenced to death for believing in gods separate from their own. As the believers were lined up to be executed, they looked to each other, smiling for all they've done. Even though they had reached their end, they knew their task had been fulfilled. As each were pushed atop the stake one by one, the boy took out the flower one last time, still as healthy as it could be. Gripping it close to his chest, his body was pushed downward, impaled by the wooden stake his brothers and sisters fell victim to. As his arms and legs grew limp, so did the leaves and petals of the flower as it decomposed within seconds, blown away by the wind into the unknown. But with every hardship comes a silver lining, as their word spread to other countries. The existence of this realm became more clear in the eyes of the believers, but so too was the necessity to protect it after what happened in Egypt. The believers banded together in their respective homes to build sanctuaries for the sole purpose of defending the gateway wherever it became present. When all stood tall, the light between worlds shone upon them all, as the figures appeared clearer than ever before, smiling upon their followers for their dedication. Many truths would be unveiled that day, truths that we alone would forever hold to ourselves for years to come. We were chosen, for we hold that same purity their kind has shared for as long as time itself. To understand there were lives outside our plane of being made this threat to come all the more frightening, as the only ones able to protect the gateway, let alone know of it, made our secrecy all the more apparent. No one but the purest of hearts should know this, or else they could use that knowledge to exfiltrate this universe we share and put it at risk. Through our understanding, we pledge to protect it by all means necessary, even if it meant turning the world against us. Henceforth, we would be known as the Scarlet Combine, guardians of the evolution and growth to all life in our world, and defenders of the sacred realm. To aid us in our quest to stop this force from breaking through the gateway, 5 of our sanctuaries were blessed with gifts of extensive knowledge. The United Kingdom Sanctuary received the gift of might, with the capabilities to create an expansive offense and defense system. The Australian Sanctuary received the gift of matter, knowledge that would allow us to develop equipment far beyond its time. The Egyptian Sanctuary received the gift of health, considering its structure is built within the African continent. This would prove useful towards detecting and treating unknown sicknesses. The American Sanctuary here was blessed the gift of life, allowing us to reinvigorate the lost life of pure souls into a safe haven. Some of our oldest members still remain to this day, guiding us through these difficult times. This leads us to the gift the Chinese Sanctuary were given, the gift of history, leading to the foundation of our most treasured registry of information, all linked to circumstances that we constantly prepare for. This is it. You wish to learn more about what became of our world. yes? Well, while what I spoke of upon your arrival was more than informative enough, you'd be right to assume that I left some things out. For I feel details should not simply be taken at face value, but understood through the experiences others had to endure, even ourselves. An impossible feat, you may think, for a majority of those that suffered the transformation of our world are either lost to the feral infestation or have perished to the beasts that came from it. But you would be surprised to know how capable we've been over the centuries. We've always kept a record of the events that Earth has struggled through, even the most excruciating details that most would not pay much mind to. Welcome to the Ethichive, our library of stories dating all the way back to our Order's foundation. We've kept record of these events for millennia, all from previous members, citizens, soldiers, anyone that experienced unusual phenomena. Their experiences are held here. You believe F-22 is the worst that could ever happen. You'd be sorely mistaken. There are many possibilities for even worse scenarios we could face, but we don't dwell on those unless we're absolutely certain it will transpire in the distant future. Until that time comes, though, what we face now is all that matters. I'm sure I can imagine what's on your mind right now. How was all of this acquired? Were they contributed? Passed on by their next of kin if they had passed? Was it found, put together through information we discovered? How could these experiences be held in one place, if at all? In the past, previous members and even followers like yourselves would grant these experiences to us in full detail to better understand what's being faced. But through the digital age, we've used our technology to not only detect when events like these occur, but monitor them as well. This is where the hostility of your former governments came into play in the modern age, and we will be transparent about it with you. Not like it matters anymore. While it is true that our methods were an invasion of privacy to billions of innocent lives, our use of the information we've gathered was never for malicious use. If it didn't relate to what we were looking for, we had no reason to keep it. Though that's not to say we don't often bend the rules a bit when it comes to certain bad eggs. And believe us, we can certainly tell the difference between a predator and someone just trying to make a living. Some people don't learn to understand what becomes current, but we do. It's our ideology. Understanding is what helps us truly realize a threat. But it's not our choice to identify and confront ordinary ones. That's for the world to realize and face. And if the world won't do it, well, again, bending the rules a bit doesn't hurt if it helps the livelihood of all that inhabit it, even if we're hated for it. Besides, not only do we feel this place is more of a database for resources that can help us, it can also be considered a place of closure. Imagine, someone is on their last legs, facing something larger than them and knowing the end of their line is close. There's so much they want to get off of their chest, to make peace before the curtains close, but also knowing no one will be there to hear it. It would be lost to silence, and all those that knew them would never know the tale. But the Ethichive, it observes, preserves, and tells all. But don't dig too deep, for this much knowledge is enough to scar anyone's mind for life. It's not for the faint of heart. Whatever you wish to look through first, prepare yourself. I will leave you to this for as long as you need. When you are done, we can proceed.